I'm back. So, I'm doing 2 videos today. It's very rare that I'm actually, like, presentable. So, I have been meaning to do this video forever, and I just haven't for some reason, so we're doing it today. Gosh, how long was it ago? Maybe a couple weeks ago, I was talking to Holly, and she brought up a question, and we talked about it, and it kind of blew both of our minds, so I needed to come and share this with everybody. As you guys know, I've been really diving into frequencies, especially frequencies of essential oils, what that actually means, how they interact with the body, how they raise their own vibrations, like all of that kind of stuff, because it's just really fascinating to me. And she had asked me a question that I have heard a lot, and I'm sure you have heard as well, just being in the essential oil community. And that is, a lot of people will mention or will say, there's a saying that if you are really repelled by an oil, if you're like really put off by it, it usually means that you need it, right? And a lot of times, I'm sure most of us have experienced that if you've been playing around with oils for a while. You find an oil that when you first smell it, you're like, oh my gosh, that smells terrible, get that away from me, like I can't even handle it, I can't handle it. But you kind of know that you need to get into it, right? For whatever reason, you need the therapeutic effect from it, or whatever it is, you know that you want and you need to use it. So you do, and then you find that maybe a few weeks later, a few months later, maybe even a few years later, you end up like loving that oil. For me, it was Joy. I think I won Joy as a giveaway, and I was so excited to try it because I heard all this stuff, and it was the rose in that blend. I don't know if White Angelica has rose. It kind of smells like it does. But I was like, I couldn't handle it. Any of those really, really, really sweet floral scents. Sclerescence was another one that when I first got, I think it was a February promo, I could not, like, it made me want to throw up the smell. It was so bad. But other people loved it, and I didn't, you'll find that everybody raves about Joy, but then for me, I smelled it and I could not handle it. But I wanted to get into it, I wanted to use it. And she had asked, like, why does that happen? And how come over time we end up kind of flipping spectrums and really loving that oil. And if that saying is true, of if you're repelled by an oil, it means you really need it, why is it that we're also just intuitively really drawn to oils that we also seem to need? Like, which one's right, which one's wrong, where does that come from? And I had thought about it, and it took me a while to kind of get my thoughts into comprehensible words that make sense, but we were both, like, mind blown by it. So, I needed to come and share. So, to give a quick little background about vibrational frequencies. Every living thing has a vibrational frequency, or I mean, I guess not living as well, like the desk, like everything has a frequency, right? And especially with the body, I'm like trying to think here. If you went to my frequency of essential oils class, if you didn't, let me know. I still have the slides from it that I can repost. Maybe I'll repost it in here somewhere if you guys haven't seen it. I did a class about the frequency of essential oils, and in that class and in the video I really dove into the frequency of the human body and like why you should care, because I know that's one of the things of when we talk about frequencies, it seems like a sciencey term and like it doesn't, like it's fluff, who cares, what does it really matter? However, when I was doing this research, I was kind of mind blown because the frequency of your body is actually very specific, and it ties into your health and it ties into your wellness so much. Just in terms of like your physical wellness and your physical body, somebody had created some type of machine to measure the vibrational frequency of multiple things, including the human body, to see how it is affected. And what they found was that the normal human body resonates at about 72 to 78 megahertz for a healthy person. And that's just overall, like, the frequency of your brain is slightly different, the frequency of, like, your liver is slightly different, but what they found is that certain things around you will raise or lower your vibrational frequency. And if we branch into more of the, like, spiritual, metaphysical side, talking about your chakras, talking about your aura, that is an extension of your vibrational frequency, essentially. So, things that come in and around your area, so your frequency kind of projects around you, which is, I guess, similar to what you would consider an aura, right? But what they found was that even just like things like holding a cup of coffee, not even drinking it, just holding a cup of coffee in your vibrational frequency area lowers your frequency. Doing things like obviously smoking and eating processed foods and like, you know, the stuff that you would assume is not good for you, lowers your vibrational frequency. And what they found was that if your vibrational frequency of your body overall lowers too much, you start to get sick. I don't remember the exact numbers because you don't need to get fixated on the numbers. It's not something that matters, the exact numbers. But at a certain point, your immune system drops. If you lower just a couple points on that megahertz scale, your immune system drops and becomes compromised. You start getting colds. And then if you go lower, you end up getting flus and sickness. And all the way down the end of that spectrum was things like cancer and things like death. The body begins to die at 42 megahertz, I believe is the right number. So that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. So I'm kind of telling you this to give you a little bit of context, because people talk about frequencies in terms of like your physical wellness, but then also I think most of people know of it as like a spiritual term of people who are, you know, spiritual awakenings, meditation, like all this other kind of stuff. Usually talk about it in terms of I want to raise my vibrational frequency. And if you think about it in a physical sense, raising it is good for you. It helps your body function the way that it's meant to function, right? It helps your physical wellness, your mental wellness, your spirituality, all that kind of stuff, right? So that's just kind of a sidebar. Obviously, they found that essential oils raise your vibrational frequency like nobody's business because they are crazy high up there. To give you an idea, the human body is about 72 to 78 megahertz. Lavender is 118. Rose is 320, which is crazy. And then higher than that is the spruce oils. I think it's Idaho blue spruce is the top. I think Northern Lights black spruce is also up there. I think those are the two that are like up in the 500s, the highest vibrational frequency of any like substance that we know of. So it helps you raise your vibrational frequency faster than just the normal methods of, you know, positivity and mindset and like grounding and meditate, like whatever you want to do, right? So that's kind of the backstory of that. Now to explain why we are repelled by certain oils. Again, as I just mentioned, essential oils are so much higher frequency than we are, most of them. There are ones like Valor that is actually lower than the body because it resonates with the skeletal system, all that kind of stuff. But a lot of the oils that we tend to be repelled by usually are higher frequency oils. For me, it was rose. Like, can't handle rose. I'm getting there, but it's still, you know, for a while, I like couldn't even smell it. I didn't want it on me. I didn't want to use it. Like, get it away from me. It was bad. And the reason is because like energy attracts like energy. So on the terms of frequency talk, if you are vibrating here and something else is vibrating up here, you're going to repel strongly. And an example I like to use is somebody who is going through like some really big life changes, especially if they're, you know, I don't know, they just seem like they're up-leveling, they're doing positive things, they're, you know, just going in the upward trend of frequency. They will notice that negative people, negative experiences, and negative things will start to fall away and drop out of their lives. And I've heard people talk about this all the time. Like, you just kind of, you're in just such a different place to where, like, the things that are such, like, negative and nasty and lower vibrations, like, they can't even vibe with you. They can't even be in your area because the energy just conflicts because it's not on the same level, right, frequency-wise. That is why we are repelled by oils, is because rose, for example, is such a high-frequency oil that it doesn't match that of our own. So a lot of times when you first smell rose or something similar that's way up there, it's like, ooh, it's a little too much. It's because you're being repelled by it. But a lot of times we want to raise our vibrational frequency. So what happens is when you end up using joy or using, you know, whatever oil it is that you're repelled by, and over time you realize, you're like, oh, this isn't, okay, I'm starting to get into this, I'm liking this, and now, like, I'm obsessed with joy, or whatever the oil is. It's because you've raised your own frequency to closer match that of the oil. I don't know exact numbers, I don't think the body would raise to a frequency of 320 to match rose, but you get higher. You raise your vibrational frequency to where that you can actually be in the vicinity of that rose and not be repelled by it. So that's kind of I guess, more of a detailed explanation, but hopefully that makes sense. So if you have an oil that you're really repelled by, you think it stinks, you can't stand it, it's because it's just it just doesn't resonate with you. It's just on a different vibrational frequency than you. And that goes for things that even aren't oil related. Like a lot of times if, situations and people that you just don't vibe with, it's just because they're on a different frequency than you, and the energy is just going to conflict. Just can't even be in that area, right? However, when you start using your oils more, you're raising your own vibration, and when you find that you actually are really loving that oil and you're really interested in it and like can't live without it, it's because you've raised your own vibrational frequency with it, and you're able to closely match it now, right? You're able to resonate with it a little bit more, which is crazy. On the other end of that spectrum, as far as actually liking and being called to oils, again, that's just because you're resonating at that frequency. So it's not necessarily that one is right and one is wrong, saying that, if you are repelled by an oil, you need it, but if you like an oil, you also need it. It's just where you match up with that frequency. And, if you like an oil, it is usually because you resonate with it and you want it, and your body intuitively, wants to gravitate towards things that are in your frequency range, right? And that's why I love intuitively using oils. That's my favorite way to apply them. It's my favorite way to pick blends. All that kind of stuff is just, what am I drawn to? What is my first gut reaction of bergamot? That's been mine lately. Of like, I just want everything bergamot all over the place and all the diffusers. So, yeah, and I'm sure if I looked at the uses for that, it's because I probably need it. I just don't know that yet. But yeah, so I love intuitively picking oils because you just, your body gravitates towards what you resonate with on a frequency level. And that usually coincides with therapeutic effects of what you actually need or are looking for. So I hope that made sense. Let me know if it did. Let me know if it didn't. I know some of this talk can kind of easily go over people's heads because it's so different. But let me know if that made sense. Let me know if it didn't. And let me know if you guys have any questions. And I think that's all I got for you. See you guys later.